All right. So we've introduced a new thing that we do sometimes twice, sometimes three times a month. And we bring in our best friends and partners across the banking industry, but also in law enforcement, highway patrol, and so much more. Why do we do this? Because during my workday, I was right here in this studio where I talk to you every single weekday morning, and I was almost defrauded. It was a very elaborate scam. Somebody was impersonating a position of power within the Taney County Sheriff's Office. Thank God for Brad Daniels. I sing the man's praises every day. We got the real sheriff on the phone, and that fraud attempt got shut down real fast. But here's the thing. They were using official jargon, legal mumbo jumbo, real judges' names that is in the public domain every single day. And they were coming up with all kinds of astronomical fine numbers and all of this. And I forgot my one most major instinct that I have been taught by my friends in the banking industry. When you're scared and afraid, they get you into this loophole, right? And then you forget the biggest thing of all. Just hang up and call and verify. When you're scared, you forget a lot of your best base instincts. But I would just tell you that. Hang up the phone and verify. But also listen to Fraud Fridays. We educate, we share the latest and breaking information when it comes to fraud because these tactics evolve and change all the time. I've got a new individual here in the studio. I'm going to allow him to introduce himself and what he does. We are going to talk some fraud and make fraudsters' lives miserable. Case in point, my friend, good morning to you.
Good morning.
If you would, start there. Introduce yourself to the masses.
My name's Garrett, and I run a company called VanderNet, and we're a cybersecurity company focused on businesses. But just like individuals are defrauded, businesses definitely are defrauded as well.
Ah, man. So how long have you been with VanderNet?
Yeah, so 16 coming up 17 years.
Congratulations on 17 years running. So in your particular, I mean, cybersecurity is big, and that really is at like the forefront and the front lines because if your portal, whether your business, your brand, think about payroll, we are literally in a digital ecosystem that grows by leaps and bounds. It's entrenched in every facet of business right there. And man, if you don't have the loopholes closed up, if you are exposed in any way, shape, or form, it can spread rapidly. And you guys see this.
I always tell people, like, you got holes in your boat. You either have the good guys find the holes in the boat or somebody else is going to find it. And you're talking about your situation that happened to you personally. And the thing that comes to mind is these hackers, these scammers, they show up to work just like you and I do every single day. A lot of times we think that they're like some kid in some mom's basement somewhere, but it's actual like a professional service. I mean, what is a professional? Somebody that gets paid money to do a specific task. And
it's almost like these people would be getting commission, right? You get the big fish, all that money is coming back. We don't know their motivations, but we do know if they don't get you or myself, that is just a blip in their day.
Yeah, and they have commercial offices too. Like you think, a lot of times we think of them as that person that's in the basement, but they're just like you and I. They leave for work, they kiss their wife and kids. Today they drive to a corporate leased office space, and they have dual screens, monitors, and they're just picking up the phone and making phone calls. But what's crazy is it's the motive and the intent. I was looking up earlier, like what is actually the definition of fraud?
Yeah, if you want to share that, please do.
Fraud is the intentional act of deceiving another person or organization in order to gain an unfair or illegal advantage, typically involving money, property, or services. In simple terms, fraud happens when someone lies, tricks, or misrepresents facts on purpose, just like you were talking about with representing another sheriff in another location.
It's very flashy, and they can get this right off of the internet anytime they want.
Yeah, it's all public information, like you said. I look at it in two ways. You got the good side, you got the dark side, right?
Mm-hmm.
The same tools we use on a commercial basis to prospect, build client lists, to target marketing and advertisement towards is being used in a dark sense on the hacker side. They're building lists. They're qualifying lists. They're looking at age identifiers because typically, people over a specific age are more vulnerable than others. But I say everybody's vulnerable. But typically they prey upon people above the age of like 50 or plus to exploit them for whatever they can. So they have that, we call a calling script, right? When you call somebody and you try to qualify, they have calling scripts just like, legitimate business does. It's absolutely insane.
That's wild to me, and I want to get your take on this. And I've been asking questions in different ways and means because
Yeah.
everybody's got a digital fraud detection within the banking system and all that stuff,
Yeah.
IT, all of that. One thing that I always worry about, and now it's like it's been a really big topic of discussion in Utah because the people over there were just absolutely overridden by a council that didn't want to brave them face to face, and they passed this big development that's funded by a Canadian, if you will. It doesn't even live in the U.S. Utah's a hot button topic because they're going to put in a data center there in Utah that is going to span over 45,000 acres. It's like 3 times the size of Manhattan, a data center that is powering AI. So there's a lot of environmental issues there with that. But here's the thing: a data center like that, as massive as it is, that is feeding AI data every single day. And we worry about AI in a lot of different facets and means. I just want to just get your take on this, especially with digital and all of
Mhm.
that. As AI gets fed, to me, like it's data mining. So like
Yeah.
personal information gets out there. It knows more
Yeah.
about you than you may know about yourself. But does that impact like a hacker that is using generative AI to, and I'm probably not going to be using the right terminology, but I think you'll follow me, cloning a website to make it look official and pulling
Happens every
digital
day.
assets all the
Yeah.
time? Is that a common thing? And,
Yeah.
and if you do see that, what are you seeing on your side?
Yeah, so it happens every day where you get fake websites. The biggest ones that they do is like Microsoft, Gmail. They go for the big targets, right? Because do you want to focus on a small entity,
Mm-hmm.
or do you want to focus on a very largely used platform? So they make fake Microsoft websites. They make fake, like you can think about it. Any website, banking. They could make fake banking websites. So you think you're
Golly,
going
man.
to log into your online bank account portal,
And it's
and
not real.
here's what the crazy thing is. You can go to Google ad. I just saw it yesterday actually, where you go to Google, you search and say Google Earth,
Uh-huh.
and just yesterday the top ad result were for Google Earth. Like when you pay ads, you can pay to play, right?
Yeah.
So the more you pay, the higher you are listed in the Google search results. The top link for Google Earth was actually taking you to a fraud site where they were capturing your information to log in and then explain. So literally people
That's
they're
crazy.
evading and paying for ads just like businesses would to trick you into clicking what you think is, hey, I want to go to Google Earth
And
or another one.
it's a funneling tactic.
Same things happen with banking. The same, like you think
Wow.
maybe you're searching for your banking website,
Mm-hmm.
to log into your online banking. That the fraudsters can create a fake bank landing page just like yours are because it's public information. Literally, you can just go to any bank's website and see that login. And so that's why it's extremely important to make sure that you know your bank's website
Mm-hmm.
and you type it in. You go to your bank's website before you click log into your online banking.
Or even then, would you say is it helpful and something to watch out for? Like I keep my bookmarks, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and that way, like I know exactly. I've been there. I physically
It's
visited that,
trust, right?
and
Yeah.
that I don't have to mess something up. I don't have to search and type it in and not know which one of the top search results is actually going to take me to the proper website. They just sneak in on the backside. Your valuable insight. I mean, obviously, it is a very shaky landscape when you get out there in the digital
Mm-hmm.
sphere, and obviously, our seniors are more susceptible to that if they don't
Yeah.
use technology on the regular. The younger you get, I mean, to me, I don't think age matters. I mean, it's all about education, learning these sites and these tactics that go out there. Are there specific ways and means or things that we can identify quickly to keep us safe in going for a website, whether that is questionable letters and number sequences in a link? What would be the top thing that we can identify as a user to keep us safe?
So the URLs, making sure
Mm-hmm.
that the URLs look legit,
Yeah,
or the email accounts. One of the things that we all heard stop, drop, and roll when it comes to for a fire.
we did.
But
I've taken it with me all these years.
yeah, one of the things that I think we need to start teaching is stop, think, and ask.
Yeah.
Just stop. Like when you got that text message from that fraudster,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, stop. Okay, this is super weird and strange.
Mm-hmm.
And then think, like, this is kind of out of the norm in regard to how these people would normally engage me. Pick up the phone and you call that institution directly. A lot of times these fraudsters put a phone number in there, or they'll even send emails. Like they'll steal the signature of a legitimate business and send you an email. And so the signature looks like it, like you said, it might even be a legitimate person at that entity that they're using that person's name, and just literally copy their signature,
Absolutely.
change the phone number, and they might have even changed the hyperlink. Like in the email, it might have said like Susie at xyz.com,
Mm-hmm.
but underneath that hyperlink, you can change the link format. So when you click it, it looks like you're going to email Susie, but then when you click it, it opens up and automatically fills in the to field as another email account. So even when you click that hyperlink, you still got to look at that email and make sure that it's legit. But let's back up for a second.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing that people are in error of is they just start responding to threads. That's where that stop, think, and ask. When it's one thing that we do is what's called callback verification. So if somebody calls into our entity and they're asking for sensitive information, we say, hey, great, appreciate it. But part of our protocol is we have to hang up with you. We have to disconnect this lines of communication that we've already established with you, and we have to call you back. So if somebody from your bank calls you, or another, financial institution, maybe wealth management or anything like that, if they call you and start asking you questions, you need to say, hey, 1 second, let me call the main bank's phone number off the banking website, and then ask for that individual and then get transferred back to that individual.
It's the most basic thing, but it's the most
It
successful thing you can do.
So much pain.
Wow.
Just say, hey, I appreciate it.
Let me call you back.
You sound legit. Like you were talking about AI and what's called deep fakes. AI has the ability to, you're a common voice on the radio every single day. So
my voice is out
there.
Your
voice is out there, right? So you can take it. There's generative AI websites right now. Probably not going to list them, but they're public. I mean, people use them for marketing all the time. You can take the voice, upload it. You can say, hey, I want it to say this. So you can create these call scripts as Josh, and then just start playing those, audio files. That's just
insane.
Like it. They can create it. So that's why it's important. It might sound like somebody, but it's not in fact that individual, because their voice has been recorded, uploaded, and manipulated.
If they ask you and there's anything that is unusual about it, or even if money is brought up in a scenario,
hang up
and call and verify.
And you can politely say, hey, I don't just take what you're saying like as valid. It sounds like it sounds legit, but due to my own personal requirements, I need to call you back at your main number, and then we can continue this conversation. It's super easy.
What are you seeing, obviously, in your realm? Can you share with us some of the latest tactics that you've seen from scammers or fraudsters? I mean, especially when it comes to website and digital security there. Are you seeing some new stuff, some new tactics that's come through your area that you would love to share? Because that helps us all out.
We call people, there are dangerous people out there that are just like adopting this AI landscape. And they're not thinking about what are the ramifications of me just going out there, and I watched a YouTube video on this cool new thing that AI can do, and I should go do it too. And there's this new one called Claw that everybody's been like super excited about, because it takes AI, and you have like ChatGPT or Anthropic Claude. You have those normal place. We've all used this probably. If you're listening, more than likely you have, or somebody that has used it, where you go to these websites and you type in a question, like ChatGPT, and it gives you answers, but it doesn't have permission to execute or do things. But then there's this new thing called Claw, and Claw has the ability to sit on top of it. So it's like an orchestrator. It can actually do things. So
oh my God.
It can talk to, ChatGPT. ChatGPT can give it recommendations. And then the next thing you know, it's going out there and doing it. We saw the other day a YouTuber that had asked, that was playing with it, Claude, and he said, hey, I want you to restream this video on YouTube as fast as possible, as many times as you can. And so he went to bed, and he got up the next morning and started looking at the logs of what he told this Claw bot to do. And what he found out quickly based on the logs is that YouTube had blocked it. It had figured out that the AI was trying to access YouTube so many times as like this is obviously like a scam or somebody trying to abuse our service.
Spam or what have
It
you.
immediately, the AI bot immediately installed a illegal tunnel to the dark web, which
Oh
if you
my!
guys don't know what the dark web is, it's just a way, the dark web was invented to secure like news reporters and public journalism from sensitive areas around the world that they were trying to communicate through. But it's also used by cyber criminals, and a lot of bad things happen on the dark web. But it had said, okay, I'm being blocked. It went to the ChatGPT. This robot, this orchestrator went to ChatGPT and said, I'm being blocked by ChatGPT. How do I get around it to do what I'm trying to do with YouTube? And it responds back and it says, hey, install this dark web portal access so then you can start doing it. So it went out on the dark web and started restreaming to YouTube from all these different IP addresses across the world.
Whoa.
So it's scary because this guy just thought, hey, I'm just asking it to do a simple action.
He said it and forget it,
Said
essentially.
it like, hey, he never thought that, hey, as soon as it got blocked from YouTube, it was going to find another way, maybe through not necessarily an illegal means, but it said, what is fraud? Trying to get around or defraud, like it says, if you're trying to misrepresent facts on purpose, or you're deceiving another person or organization in order to gain unfair or illegal advantage. I would say that if you're using the dark web after you've been blocked by YouTube, that might be an unfair or illegal advantage.
I would say so. That's scary that
It is.
it can think and they can find different avenues to get out there. That's nuts. Another thing that I've seen, if you scroll down TikTok a little bit, you will see these blitz and blurbs where you see an influencer of some kind. They snap their fingers and immediately transform themselves into somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's no audio with that, but just as you said, these trainers can get smart really fast. And all of a sudden, you've completely recreated another person, and you've got the voice to match it up. And this is just young influencers pulling out this little magic rabbit on TikTok of all things. And the likeness and the results, I mean, it's almost like they're doing like prompts behind the scenes, but they become another influencer instantaneously. And that's how wild that side of the whole tech sphere is getting.
Literally, people are, everybody, you ask kids, 20 years ago, what did they want to be? It was either a fireman or a policeman. Like that's what like every kid in in America wanted to be either a fireman or a policeman. You ask kids what they want to do today,
Influencer.
and now they want to be an influencer. They want to be a professional gamer. There's like all these like, you look at these ways that they want to do it, and now people are making money. They're not even they're telling AI to make these like fake videos, and then they're republishing them, getting views, and then getting paid off of it.
Yeah.
So it's wild.
There's AI platforms as well too, and I've seen this now that you can actually create your own influencer, and then the influencer is the one that is doing all the videos and the product testing and
getting awards.
Yeah, and getting awards. And on the back end of that, all the money that this digital fake influencer that you created on the fly through AI software is bringing in all of this money for you. And there's so many gray areas with that as well. It's like, do you really know what the influencer you created is doing out there online? But that's where we're at. That's how evolved this stuff is. But on the digital side of things, you
have to be careful.
You have to learn. You have to get resources. And let me just ask this with VanderNet, if somebody wants to be safer, and as we implored them to get educated and learn about these new technologies and new tactics that are out there, do you guys act as a resource of it? Somebody wants to call or get information that's the latest and greatest that you see. Can they do that through VanderNet?
Yeah, so our biggest recommendation, obviously we're focused very much on the corporate and structure side of protecting businesses and entities. But I would just recommend that they just follow like our Facebook page, or that we release things like we released how to freeze your credit. If you have not there's not a legitimate, if you're not using your credit today, then there's no reason for it to be hanging out. And by default, your credit's open. It's open to anybody and everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It can, they can spin up fake entities in other states with your credit. They can get loans with your name in other states with your name and information if your credit's not frozen. So the biggest thing, if you leave today and you're like, hey, I'm just an individual and not a business, is freeze your credit. And you're like, How do you do that? Well, there's three specific credit reporting companies. There's TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. You can go to their website and you can click freeze credit, or Google. Here we go again. You got to be careful, but you can Google freezing your credit and then put in like Equifax, TransUnion, or Experian. But make sure that the URL that you're going to freeze your credit is in fact those websites, those legitimate websites. We don't want to get any fake websites.
Are
Freeze it.
are you seeing? And one final question for you, and you'll have some valuable insight on this. Are you seeing it through apps on people's phones?
Yeah. So one of the landscapes that is kind of been the unprotected,
Mm-hmm.
but the most utilized out there is mobile devices, right? I mean, we are on the go. We're mobile. I mean, the likelihood of you using your computer or laptop is probably less likely. You know how they can measure screen time, right?
Uh huh.
On your iPhone, you can like you average 4 hours and 25 minutes every day this week. Though that is mobile is a huge vulnerability. So how do you protect against that? How do you like there's ways that you can install apps. There's virus protection that you can put on your phones. But legit, right? So you want to use like reputable companies that have the right software. And then you also want to in the commercial space, we have what's called MDM. So if you have a company provided phone, it should be enrolled in what's called a mobile device management. So it restricts things from happening. So if you click on a link on your phone, it can just say, "Hey, that's fraud or an illegal like action. We're not going to allow you to do that." Those are policies that are put on those phones.
Smart,
So for
especially.
for even me, like I'm the CEO of the company, but I have to put in app requests to our IT department in order for that app to be verified that it's legit to be pushed to my phone.
That's pretty cool. I will say this: it is good to have another arm in this fight to be able to keep people safe out there in Ozark Mountain Country, because it's paper, it's digital, it's websites, everything goes together. They're not resting in these tactics, and they will use every means that they can to get inside. And they can steal your data. They can take your life. They
Yeah.
can take finances, all of that stuff there. Love you to introduce yourself one more time to the masses. And again, please remind us how people can get information and get connected with VanderNet.
Yeah. So my name's Garrett. I'm the CEO of VanderNet. We're a IT cybersecurity solutions company focusing on protecting businesses from the bad guys. You worked so hard to build something only for it can literally disappear overnight if it's not protected. And let's just say it's not a matter of if, but when. And I always tell people, how big of an issue do you want? Do you want something small that can be stopped really quickly because you have necessary layers of protection in place? Or do you want to just it all be exposed, and the next thing you don't know when you're going to be back up and going again? So my last final thoughts are hackers are going to try to get money in one of two ways. They either try to acquire the necessary information to draw money out of your bank accounts, which by the way, institution numbers, your bank number is public information as well. The ABA routing number is public information. So the only thing that they're missing is your account number to be able to withdraw money off of your funds. So it's important that if you have a business, you need to be talking to your bank about advanced banking protections. There's protections in place that you can put that you have to approve transactions before they are pulled out of your account. It's called positive pay. And so it just simply keeps somebody from acquiring the right
Mm-hmm.
information and just drawing money right off of your bank account. So I would highly suggest especially if you have a small business, you can't take any mistakes or any chances. So talk to your bank about those protections. The last thing that the way that they get money out of your bank accounts is they scam you. They convince you to go to your bank accounts, or some people have heard crazy stories where they go to like Walgreens and they get gift cards. Nobody's going to
Yeah.
ask you to get gift cards other than maybe your own child. But then even then I would pick up the phone and call your child directly and like, why do you need gift cards?
Amen.
So just pause, just remember, stop, think about it. Is this like legit? This is not a normal request. And just ask, like pick up the phone and call that entity or that individual directly and say, what is going on? It happened the other day. Somebody, their email had been compromised and they were emailing the bank and asking for their online banking to be reset. And finally, The bank called that individual and said, hey, this is not how we transact or do business. And to reset any of your online bank stuff, like, that. And guess what? That person said, I didn't email you asking to reset my online bank account, because their email had been compromised. They didn't even know it. So just be careful. Stop, think, and ask.
I'm glad you guys are in the fight. That every bit of insight today has been valuable, because we don't often talk about digital enough, but that work goes on every day. You guys are seeing new tactics, and that's why I'm going to say, Garrett, you're fully entrenched in this now. Let's have more visits, because what you see changes every single day, and I'm glad you're in the fight with
Josh,
us.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're doing this show, because
absolutely,
I think
man.
People would say, what is the best way for people to know? I say, educate your people. And if you're an employer, you're a steward of the people that work for you. So it's important that you're going to those people that work for you and say, hey, you really need to freeze your credit if you're not using it, and here's how you need to do it.
And if you're working in a place, a safe ecosystem is big, because don't be that employer that exposes your employees' data. Or, I mean, think about this. It all starts with a W-2 when you go in there. Your information is internal. How safe are you? Just close the gap.
Maybe if you're an employee, you go to your employer and say, hey, if you got an email from me tomorrow, it said, hey, change my bank account routing information for my payroll. What is your protocol? Like, as an employee, I feel like you have to be a steward of your own paychecks and stuff. And you need to say, hey, if you got an email request to change my bank routing information for my payroll, how would you respond to that? And see what they say, because every entity needs to have an answer for that, because we see that all the time, where people's, payrolls are misdirected. And, you call your bank, your payroll doesn't hit your bank account, and you call your bank and they're going to like, hey, I didn't get my payroll. And the bank's like, we don't know what you're talking about, because it never hit the bank. The bank can't help you with anything if the funds never hit your bank account, they can't help you, because they went to somebody else's bank account because they got redirected. So I would say that would be important to do too.
I hope you guys took a lot from this, and that's why we do this. Knowledge is power. Education.
Yeah, education.
I don't want to see you sitting down in front of the local police explaining a fraud situation. If I can keep you from doing that, then we are winning in that regard. So that's why we do Fraud Fridays, oftentimes 2, sometimes 3 times a month. Make sure you do not miss them, because we've got the best folks in the industry all across our area counties that are coming together in this to share this valuable insight. My friend,
thanks, Josh.
Great. Let's do it again, all right?
Yeah, sounds great.
Stay with